Christopher Walsh suffered a gunshot wound and unfortunately passed away at the hospital. Officer Overton sustained non-life-threatening injuries and is being treated at a local hospital.
We begin with a mass shooting at the Kum N Go on Chestnut Expressway and Highway 65 overnight. Breaking this morning, 5 people total were killed overnight, including the shooter. We have team coverage of this tragic event. Elizabeth Van Metre is near the convenience store where this all happened. First, though, we will get to Lexi Spivak, who is live at the Springfield Police Department with the latest from there. Lexi.
Yeah, Sarah, so just a really terrible morning here at the Springfield Police Department where they're still grieving that loss of one of their own. Obviously, as you've already mentioned, 5 people in total were killed in this overnight shooting, including that Springfield police officer, 3 others who just happened to be at the gas station at the time of the shooting, and then the suspected shooter, who we know died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Now, we want to listen in to part of the news conference that I was at earlier this morning around 6 o'clock with Chief Paul Williams.
It is way too early. I'll just leave it at that. We're still actively investigating multiple crime scenes and dealing with grieving over the loss of one of our own.
All right, so again, that was Springfield Police Chief Paul Williams, again, just really struggling, him and his entire department. If it's setting in that they have lost one of their own police officers this morning, we do want to go over how this all started, though. We know this started around 11:30 last night when they started getting calls of shots fired around Battlefield and Lone Pine. Then, soon after that, they started getting calls from all across the city, multiple shooting locations, but then things eventually ended at the Kum N Go gas station on East Chestnut Expressway, where we were told by Chief Paul Williams that that driver actually crashed into the Kum N Go gas station and then went inside and started firing at anyone who was in there. That includes customers and employees. So again, if you are just joining us this morning, we know that 5 people were killed in this overnight shooting, including 1 Springfield police officer, 3 others who were inside that gas station, and then also the suspected shooter. We also know 2 others are in an area hospital this morning, including another Springfield police officer who are being treated for their gunshot wounds. Right now, we want to send it over to Elizabeth Van Metre this morning. She is at that Kum N Go gas station where all of this went down.
Yes, thank you, Lexi. I'm on East Chestnut Expressway, west of Highway 65, and you can see there are still officers behind me working this scene. Throughout the morning, I've told you about half a dozen. Well, there are clearly over a dozen officers that have now made their way to work on this investigation at this Kum N Go, where this event happened this morning. Police officers getting that call around 11:30 last night, saying that there was gunfire going off, and they responded to that. It all ending here at this Kum N Go. Now, if Chestnut Expressway is part of your morning commute, they're asking that you find an alternate route this morning and throughout the day. I did speak with the police officer just a bit ago who told me that they will not be clearing up this scene anytime soon. This is going to be an all-day event, so this area right here will be closed off for no-through traffic. Reporting from Springfield, Elizabeth Van Metre, back to you.
All right, Elizabeth and Lexi, thank you very much. Here's what we know right now. 5 people died in the mass shooting last night. That includes the officer, Springfield officer Christopher Walsh. He died at the hospital after the shootout at the Kum N Go. 3 people died at the Kum N Go. The gunman also died at that gas station from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Meantime, another officer injured here in this shootout overnight, Officer Josiah Overton from the Springfield Police Department. We're told he's in the hospital with a gunshot wound. 1 citizen also injured in the shootout, wounded by the gunfire at the Kum N Go. We understand this is fluid. This could change throughout the day. We understand there are at least 4 different crime scenes, including the crime scene Elizabeth showed you just a moment ago at the Kum N Go. Finally, Springfield's mayor and Missouri's governor are both offering condolences, and they are asking you for your prayers for all the families touched by this horrific incident overnight. Now, we're going to have live coverage of this breaking story throughout the day on KY3, on KY3.com, and you can find it also on our news apps. want to bring you this. This is another really big story here. This is the coronavirus, and we're talking about how different hospitals in the area are reacting to this. Beginning today, Cox Health will offer free virtual visits for people worried about symptoms related to COVID-19. That's this part right here. It's kind of small on your screen. That's in bold. The virtual visits will allow for doctor-patient interactions via email or through a web-based portal. It's available to anyone experiencing symptoms of COVID-19. Could include a fever, a cough, respiratory distress. From that point, a physician can decide if you need a referral to a testing site location created in partnership with Cox, Mercy, and Jordan Valley. Meantime, we want to show you this too. Both Mercy and Cox are stepping in and doing different things to limit your risk of getting coronavirus. They're limiting patient visitors to 1 per patient per day. Mercy has stated exceptions, well, they may be made for those receiving end-of-life care. No one will be allowed to visit any patient suspected of having COVID-19. No one under the age of 18, except those seeking medical care, will be allowed in Cox Health facilities. Now, if you want more information about this, you can go to our website. You can also visit the Mercy or Cox websites. Sarah?
Ticket sales for movies here in the States are at the lowest levels in 2 decades due to the coronavirus. Gary York is the owner of the Glass Sword Theater in West Plains. He says crowds and business had stayed pretty normal up until this week. Now sales are down 55%. Studios have already postponed release dates for upcoming movies like the new James Bond, Quiet Place 2, and Mulan. York says he's expecting even more movies will be postponed, and that means theaters will have no new movies to show. That could also force him to close his doors. Moviegoers, though, said this weekend they're being cautious, but they are not planning to let this virus dictate every aspect of their lives.
We won't have any product to show. If that is the case and we still feel like we can safely open, we may go back to showing older movies at a discount. You know, something like an Urban Cowboy or something of that nature, to bring back an old one. And we may just entirely close if we feel like that if there's that much danger, we'll do it.
We still believe in getting out there. I mean, if everybody stays home and does nothing, businesses are going to go under. You know, life is going to end, and that's just not logical. I'm not going to believe that, so.
They say that they're going to keep the theater open as long as possible based on demand and public safety.
Rain moving through the Ozarks this morning. There are some patches where it's a little heavy. This is actually going to decrease with time, but pretty widespread right now. We've got other chances coming up this week and a warming trend, at least for now. I'll have the forecast next.
And now, KY3 First Alert Weather.
All right, happy Monday, everybody. Rain and at least moderate, let's say heavy in a few spots. Highway 63 between Houston and West Plains, coming down pretty good. It's moving east-northeast, so you're next in Shannon County around Birch Tree and Eminence. To the west, it's a little more scattered. It's still raining, mind you, but some moderate rain from really western Taney County, Branson, back through about Silver Dollar City, and then westward to Cassville, make north through, let's say, Monette or so. Not a whole lot in Arkansas right now. Now, there were some stronger showers down there earlier. You'll see it in the loop. Springfield, yeah, it's raining pretty steady back up through Marshfield. And frankly, it's raining all the way up to Rolla at this point, but it's lighter along 44. A little batch of moderate rain over here toward Greenfield, and everything is moving east. This is 4 hours, and we had this little cluster in Arkansas, which has now expanded up into West Plains and so on, but there were some lightning strikes in that for a bit. I haven't seen any lately, and honestly, this thing should be on the downhill swing now. Futurecast shows at least the upper wave that's coming into the area now and helping this rain develop will bypass us later in the day. So by noon, yeah, it's not like it's all gone, but I think we're going to come down more like scattered showers here and there rather than widespread rain. And there still could be a few storms in Arkansas. None of this is going to be severe. We're just way too cool for that. But there will be some scattered activity into the afternoon. And then a passing wave again tonight could develop at least drizzle in Missouri, and I'd say maybe a storm in Arkansas, but it will be far less widespread than what we're seeing now. And I think a break in the action tomorrow. The question mark for me is, do we get the sun out? I'm going to hope we do. Anyway, today I don't think that's going to happen. And the rain doesn't stay gone long. Here's Tuesday night, and this is, well, actually that's 7 o'clock, but then notice how, yep, here it comes. This one I think is going to bring heavier rain, at least for some areas, and it may end up focusing a bit more towards central Missouri. But there's early Wednesday morning. That kind of moves on. Then we warm up a bit, scattered activity in the afternoon. And then we get another one coming up on Wednesday night and Thursday. That one could bring some locally heavy rain. So when you tally everything up, gosh, we could have 2 or 3 inches of rain in spots. And given how wet things have been, that could lead to some flooding. Unfortunately, Friday morning, cold front's through, and while it is going to dry out, it's also going to cool back down. In the 30s this morning. I mean, it's a cold rain. And as long as the showers are here, really it's not going to budge for a while. So the morning hours are just going to be flat nasty. And then we'll get a little better this afternoon. 47 or so in Springfield, 50 in Arkansas. By the way, that is better than yesterday, but it is the start of a trend. 40s tonight, a few showers or some drizzle. And then I think tomorrow, assuming the sun does come out a little bit, we'll see high 50s. And then another round of storms Tuesday night, early Wednesday. I think because we'll get a little more sun Wednesday afternoon, better temps, 68. I think Thursday's the warm day. Not necessarily an all-day rain. A couple of strong storms in there. Not real impressed with the setup, but there's your cold front. 48 Friday and dry for the weekend, but cool with the highs near 50.
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff. Disregard. We have an abort.
Nope. Not so much. Not the usual ending to the rocket launch there. That was video from Florida yesterday when SpaceX aborted its mission to launch the Falcon 9 rocket. The company says it was a standard abort related to an engine power check that came back with the wrong numbers. Now, so far, no new launch date has been set, but they say everything is okay. The timing is still on track to be able to launch more satellites. One of the nation's largest airlines is cutting back on passengers. The limit Delta is putting in place next on Ozarks Today. Amazon says it is out of stock on some household items, and deliveries are delayed as well due to the coronavirus. Here's a look at your latest business headlines.
Amazon says many household items are out of stock due to increased coronavirus demand. The company is also warning that shipping times are slower due to more people shopping online. Amazon says it's working around the clock with its selling partners to ensure that all products are available and is bringing on additional capacity to deliver orders. Prime members typically get orders in 1 to 2 days, but that's being pushed to 4 days in some instances, a rare disruption to Amazon's signature delivery model. And Starbucks is closing some stores and is shifting to a to-go model at others for at least 2 weeks. The company says the locations are in high social gathering locations, including malls and college campuses. Starbucks is also closing select stores or reducing hours in some areas, including Seattle and New York, which have high clusters of coronavirus cases. Stores will temporarily eliminate seating and make changes to the condiment bar and how cash is handled. Customers can place orders in-store through the mobile app and the drive-thru, and delivery will still be available. With your CNBC Morning Business Report, I'm Kate Rogers.
All right, take a look. The stock market just started trading again after shutting down briefly, perhaps not for long enough. Check it out. The Dow is down more than 2,700 points. Right now, it's at 20,435. Well, gas prices are taking a big hit this morning as well. The national average for regular gas dropped more than 14 cents in just the last 3 weeks to just over $2.38. According to the Lundberg survey, oil and gas prices have caved as a result of the coronavirus's impact on economies here and elsewhere. Lundberg says the retail price of gas in the country will likely spiral downward as demand decreases. A new warning from the FDA about sprouts. Yes, the kind on your sandwich at Jimmy John's. The agency says people should not eat sprouts right now from the brand Chicago Indoor Garden. If you have them, you can look for the best by date between December 1st and March 12th. That warning is linked to an E. coli outbreak at a small number of Jimmy John's restaurants. The FDA is investigating 14 cases of E. coli. Some of them are in Missouri. And again, that Starbucks story, individual stores are going to be responding individually to the coronavirus outbreak. The CEO says some stores may turn to drive-through only service as the country is trying to socially distance themselves. Others may only take orders through the mobile app. He says stores would only close as a last resort. Delta is slashing its passenger capacity by 40%. It's in response, of course, to the nosedive in travel demand right now because of the virus. The airline says the cuts are bigger than those made after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, if you can believe that. Now, they started using this fogging technique here. This is what it looks like. This cleans the air on the plane. This is an EPA-registered disinfectant. Delta is the world's largest airline by revenue, and it has consistently been the most profitable U.S. carrier over the past decade. The president will meet with some world leaders today about the latest on the coronavirus and our efforts to curb it. The teleconferences he has scheduled next on Ozarks Today. Time now 8:53. Here's a look at what's making headlines. President Trump plans to participate in 2 video teleconferences today, both dealing with coronavirus. The president and G7 leaders will discuss a coordinated action plan to respond to COVID-19. France's president tweeted on Friday all leaders were in agreement to hold this meeting virtually. President Trump, of course, declared a national emergency on Friday. All members of the G7 have cases of the coronavirus. Italy is the hardest hit. Meanwhile, Vice President Mike Pence and members of the coronavirus task force have a briefing this afternoon. The vice president talked Sunday about the public-private partnerships allowing for more testing. 3,500 cases in the virus right now in the U.S. 65 people have died, and West Virginia is the only state without any cases. The latest next on the coronavirus here in Missouri. We'll tell you about the governor's speech today when we come back.